Hey everyone, welcome to Code Lessons. In this video, we will take a look on how to create a ChatGPT-like application in Android using OpenAI using Kotlin. I have created a sample application. We will take a look at the output of it and then we will proceed further for creating a new project in Android Studio. Now on my screen, we can get to see a simple application inside which we have to simply specify the query. So we will be specifying the query as tell me about Android development. Then simply send this query. It will take some time to analyze this query and then after it will return a response. So in this we can get to see response as Android development is the process and all the information related to Android. Similarly, we will type tell me information about Kotlin in Android. Similarly, it will give the information for the Kotlin programming language in Android. So in this way, we will be simply building a ChatGPT-like chatbot inside our Android application using Kotlin. Now let's move towards Android Studio for creating a new project. Inside Android Studio, we have to simply click on File, then New, Project. We have to select it as an empty activity. Then click on Next. Specify the project name as ChatGPT application. Make sure to select the language as Kotlin and then simply click on Finish to create our new project. It will take some time to create a new project. Now our project has been created. So after that, we will be adding the dependency. So inside our application, we will be using the Open API which is provided by ChatGPT. Inside our application, we will be using the ChatGPT's OpenAI API to get the response for the user query. So for that, we will be using Volley as a library. For adding that, we have to navigate to the build.gradle app level. Inside this, in the dependency section, we will be adding the dependency for Volley. After adding this dependency, we have to simply click on sync now to install it. It will take some time to install our dependencies. Till then, we will be updating the colors. So for adding the colors, we have to navigate to the res, then values and colors.xml. Inside this, we will be updating the color. Similarly, we will be updating the other colors as well. Now after that, we have to navigate towards our activity_main.xml. Inside this, we will be firstly creating the UI for our XML file. Inside this, we will be removing this text view, changing this constraint layout to relative one. Inside this relative layout, firstly we will be creating the recycler view in which we will be displaying the list of conversation which is happening between the bot and a user. Inside this, specifying width as match parent, height as match parent, ID for this recycler view as IDRB messages. After this recycler view, we will be creating a text input layout which will be used to get the input from our user. Inside this text input layout, specifying the width as match parent, height as wrap content, then align parent bottom as true. After that, we will be specifying margin from all sides as 5dp, then specifying the hint for it as enter your query. After that, we will be specifying the padding from all sides as 5dp, then specifying the text color hint as black. Similarly, specifying the hint text color as black. Along with that, we have to specify the ID for this ID TL query. Then we will be also adding the style for it. So we'll be creating a custom style. For that, we have to navigate to themes.xml. Inside this, we will be creating a custom style as text input layout style, which will be the name for our style, then specifying the parent as widget dot material components. Here instead of action bar we have to specify it as text input layout, and then outline box dot dense. Inside this style we will be specifying the item name, that is box stroke color. We will be specifying box stroke color. After this box stroke color, we will be specifying box stroke width inside the item. Inside this box stroke width, we will be specifying width for the box stroke as 1 dp. Now we will be using this theme for our text input layout. So we will again navigate to our activity underscore main.xml, and inside this we will be specifying the style for it as text input layout style. Now inside this text input layout, we will be creating a text input edit text. Specifying width for each as match parent, height as wrap content, ID we will be specifying it as ID EDT query. Then we will be specifying the drawable end. Inside this we will be adding the icon. So after that we will be specifying the drawable theme for this drawable. After that we will be specifying the EMS as 10. Then we will be specifying the IME options to send, that is action send, which is used to send it. Then we will be calling import auto for autofill as no. After that we will be specifying input type as text simply. Then we will be specifying the text color as black, text color hint as black, and lastly specifying the text size as 14 sp. Now we have to add the drawable. So for that we will be adding the custom drawable. Inside the drawable, right click new, then we have to select vector asset. Here we have to change the icon to send, changing the icon name as send, and then simply click on next and finish to add this icon. Now here we will be calling this icon send to add our icon inside our text input layout. Now we will align this recycler view to above of our text input layout. So we will be aligning it by calling above parameter, that is text input layout. Now after that we will be creating, inside this recycler view we will be displaying the two types of view types. The first one will be for the message for the bot, and the another view will be for the user input message. So firstly we will be creating the two layout files. One will be for the layout user message, and another will be for our bot message. So inside the layout we will be simply creating new layout file, that is new layout resource file. First one will be for bot message RB item. Inside this we will be specifying root layout as constraint layout. And similarly we will be creating one more layout, which will be our user message RB item, which will be displaying the user messages. Now inside our bot recycler view item, firstly we will be specifying the width as match parent, then height we will be specifying it as wrap content. After that we will be specifying margin start as 8 dp, then specifying margin top as 16 dp, Inside this constraint layout, we will be specifying card view. Inside this card view, we will be specifying width and height as wrap content. Then specifying the card background color EEF. After specifying this card background color, we will be specifying card corner radius as 12 dp. Then specifying the card elevation as 0 dp. After that, we will be calling card prevent corner overlap as false. Similarly, specifying card use compact padding as true. Then adding the constraint from all sides, that is constraint to start off. Constraint start to start off as parent. Then adding constraint top to bottom of also as parent. After that, adding constraint top to top of also as parent. Now inside this card view, we will be creating a text view which is used to display the bot text. Inside this, specifying the width as wrap content, height also as wrap content, ID as IDTV bot message, or we can simply give it as IDTV bot. Then specifying margin bottom as 8 dp. Then adding the max width for it as 260 dp. After that, we will be adding the padding left as 12 dp. Then adding the padding top as 8 dp. After that, we will be specifying the padding left, which we have already given. Then padding top, which also has been given. Padding right as 12 dp. Specifying the text as message, text color as black. Then text size, we will be specifying it as 16 sp. Now our bot message recycler view item layout file has been created. After that, we will be creating the layout file our user message recycler view item. So for that, we will be navigating to the user message recycler view item. Inside this, in the constraint layout, specifying width as match parent, height as wrap content. Then specifying margin top as 16 dp. Similarly, specifying margin end from all sides as 8 dp. Now inside this constraint layout, creating our card view, specifying width as wrap content, height also as wrap content, card background color then we will be specifying the card corner radius as 12 dp, card elevation as 0 dp, card prevention overlap as false, card use compact padding as true. After that, we will be specifying end to end of constraint as parent, then top to top of constraint also as parent. Inside this card view, we will be creating our text view which is used to display the message of our user. Inside this, specifying width and height as wrap content, ID as IDTV user, then specifying margin bottom as 8 dp, specifying max width for it as 260 dp, padding left as 12 dp, padding top as 8 dp, padding right as 12 dp, and specifying the text size as 16 sp, text as user message, specifying text color as white, Now we have similarly created the layout file for user message RV item. Now our layout part has been completed. After that, we will be creating the model class. So for creating a model class, we have to navigate to our package name, right click on it, new. We have to create Kotlin class as file, and inside this specifying the class name as message RV model. So we will be creating this model class for displaying the data inside our recycler view. Inside this message model class, that is message recycler view model class, we will be creating two variables. The first variable will be the message, which actually we have to display, and another variable is to decide whether the sender is a bot or a user. So we will be creating two variables, and this will be a data class, as we are using it as a model for storing our data. So we will be creating the class name as a data class. Inside this data class, we will be creating the variable message and specifying the data type for it as a string. Similarly, creating one more variable as sender and specifying the data type for it also as a string. Now our model class has been created, and similarly we can use the variables inside our model class has been created. So now we will be creating our adapter class, which is used to display the data within our recycler view. So for that, we have to again navigate to our package name, right click new, Kotlin class file, specifying the class name as message RV adapter, and creating the class for our adapter. Now inside this message RV adapter, we will be passing the list, that is our message list, and specifying the data type for our message array list as message RV model, which is our model which we will be displaying, and extending this class with recycler view dot adapter dot view hold, and inside this we will be specifying the recycler view holder. After that, we will be implementing all the methods of a recycler view. So for that, we have to simply click on this bulb and implement that method. After implementing this method, we will get to see three methods: onCreate view holder, onBind view holder, and get item count method. Inside the onCreate view holder method, we will be inflating the layout file which we have to display. Then onBind view holder method is used to set the data for a specific text view, and get item count method is used to return the size of our list or a recycler view. So here we will be simply returning the size of our list by calling return message list dot size to return the size of our list. After that, we will be creating the view holder class for both of our views. One will be our user message view holder, and another will be our bot message view holder. So inside this adapter class, we will be creating two view holder class. Firstly is our user message view holder. Inside this, we will be specifying our item view as a view, then extending this with recycler view dot view holder. Inside this, specifying our item view. So here we will be creating, inside this view holder class, we will be creating the variable for our text view, that is our user message TV, and initializing this text view with the ID by calling simply item view dot find view by ID, and inside this specifying the ID as ID TV user. Similarly, we will be copying the same class and creating one more class which will be for our bot message view holder. Here, instead of user message TV, we will be simply changing it to bot message TV and changing the ID from ID TV user to ID TV bot. In this way, we have created the view holder class for user message as well as bot message view holder. Then after, inside our onCreate view holder method, we have to inflate the layout file. So here we will be firstly getting the view type by calling simply view. Inside this, we will be simply returning if view type is equal to 0. In that condition, we will be initializing our view variable with the layout inflator dot from, specifying the context, and inflating our user message RV item by calling simply dot inflate. Here we will be specifying the layout file for our user message RV item. then specifying the parent and false. After that we will be simply calling our user message view holder, and inside this we will be specifying our view which we have to display. In the else condition we will be simply calling the view again, but in this case instead of user view message view holder we will be displaying a bot message view holder and changing the layout file from user message view holder to bot message view holder. So inside else condition we will be displaying the bot message recycler view item, and in this if condition we are displaying the user message recycler view item. Now inside onBind view holder method we will be setting the data. So inside onBind view holder method we will be simply creating a variable sender, and inside this we will be getting the sender name from our message list by simply calling message list dot get position dot sender to get our sender. Now here we will be checking when sender. Inside this we will be checking if sender is a user or a bot. If it is a user, in that case we will be calling simply holder, which will be as a type of user message view holder by calling simply user message tv dot set text. Inside this specifying the text as message list dot get position dot message to set our message. Similarly, when the sender is a bot, so we will be calling the bot. Inside this specifying holder as bot message view holder dot bot message tv dot set text. Inside this we will be calling message list dot get position dot message to display the bot message. Now after this we will be creating one more method which is used to specify the item view type. So for that we will be creating get item view type method. Inside this we will be calling simply return when. Inside this we will be checking if message list dot get position dot sender. If sender is a user, in that case we will be setting the value as 0. If sender is a bot, in that condition we are setting it as 1, and in else condition we are setting it as for bot as 1. That's why we are using 0 and 1 here for comparing of our view type. Now we have created our adapter class. After that we have to initialize this adapter class inside our main activity and set the data to it. But before that we will have to create our API key for using the ChatGPT's OpenAPI. So for that we have to navigate to ChatGPT's website. That is platform.openapi.com. Here we have to simply sign up with our email and password and credentials. Then navigate to this personal tab and view API's keys. Here we can simply create your API key by clicking this option, that is create a new secret key. I have already created my API key, so I will be using the same one. Now we will be again navigating towards our project. Inside we will be navigating towards our main activity. Inside this main activity, firstly we will be creating the variables for our recycler view and edit text. Creating the variable for edit text as text input edit text. Creating the variable for our message RV as our recycler view. Then creating the variable for our adapter, message RV adapter, and after that creating the variable for our message list as array list. Inside this specifying the model as our message RV model. After that we have to initialize all our variables. Along with that we will be creating a variable for our URL which we are using to make the API call. So for getting our URL, we have to navigate to examples, then Q&A, and here we can get to see the API which we have to call. So we have to simply copy this URL, navigate back towards our project, add this URL here. We will be using this same URL to make our API call. inside our onCreate method we will be initializing all our variables like query edit text, id edt query, similarly message rv, id rv messages, then message list as array list, after that message rv adapter equal to message rv adapter, inside this specifying our message list, then creating a variable for our layout manager as linear layout manager, inside this specifying our application context. Then we will be setting this layout manager to our message recycler view by calling simply message rv.layout manager as layout manager. After that we will be calling message rv.adapter and setting our adapter as a message rv adapter. After that we will be calling simply query edit text dot set on editor action listener. That's why we have specified the action for our query edit text as action send. Inside this we will be calling text view dot on editor action listener. Inside this specifying action id and then event, so we will be again calling it to get our method. Inside this calling our text view dot on editor action listener. Here we are getting our text view, then action id and key event. Now inside this method we will be checking if action id, for action id we are using it as I, if action id is equal to editor info dot action send. If it is action send, in that case only we have to check if query edit text dot toString dot length is greater than 0. In that case we are calling message list dot add and we are adding the message inside our message list, inside our message rv model. Inside this message rv model we are adding query edit text dot toString, and then as the message is first message will be sent by user it's only, so we are specifying it as a user, and after adding this to our list we will be simply calling message rv adapter dot notify data set change to notify our adapter that data has been changed. Then we are calling a method which is used to get the response from our API. Inside this we will be specifying our query edit text dot toString, and we will be creating this method to get our response from API. Along with that we are also adding else condition. So this else condition will be called when the user do not enter any text and the text edit text field is empty. In that case we will be specifying displaying a toast message as please enter your query, then displaying a toast message as toast dot length long length short dot show. Inside this calling return action listener and lastly returning it as false. Now we have to create this method, that is get response method, to get our response. So for that we will be creating a function as get response. Inside this we will be specifying our query as string Along with that, here we have to specify it as true. Now inside our get response method, firstly we will be changing the setting the edit text to empty by calling simply query edit text dot set text to empty, then creating a variable for our queue as request queue, then we will be calling volley dot new request queue. Here firstly we have to import our request queue variable as well as our volley. Then we will be calling new request queue inside this, specifying our application context. After that we will be creating one more variable, that is JSON object. We will be creating one more variable as a JSON object, which will be used to create the JSON object. Inside this JSON object. So now we will take a look at the API. Inside the API we have to send the data in the form of JSON object. So we have to send the model, then prompt, temperature, max tokens and all other information. So in the prompt we have to specify the message what user wants to perform. Like we have to specify any action which user wants to perform, like getting the information on Android or any kind of action like that. Along with that we have to also specify other parameters like model, temperature, max tokens, top P and others. So we will be specifying it one by one by adding it inside our JSON object. So we will be simply calling JSON object. Now above we have created a JSON object, then we are putting the values inside our JSON object. So firstly we will be specifying the model to it. Here we have to add the null check. Inside this model we will be specifying the model name like text DaVinci03. We are specifying it. Similarly we will be adding the another parameters. After model we will be adding the prompt. So we will be simply copying the prompt, adding the prompt here, and in the prompt value we will be specifying the value for this prompt as query. After prompt we will be adding the temperature as 0, temperature as 0, then specifying the max tokens as 100, after that we will be adding a top P as 1, then we will be adding the frequency penalty and presence penalty. Frequency penalty as 0.0 and lastly we will be adding the presence penalty. We can ignore this top and also add it, but in this case we will be ignoring it as it is used to move to the, this will be used when we get to see the slash n, it will stop the response. So we are not appending it inside our response. Now our JSON object request has been created. After that we will be making a request and creating the variable name for it as a post request and specifying the type of a request as JSON object request. Inside this we will be calling simply our object as JSON object request. Inside this specifying the type of our request as method dot post to make a post request, then specifying the URL on which we have to make request. After that we have to specify the body which we have to send in the form of object, then calling response dot listener. Inside this listener we will be simply getting the response. Inside this, so here we will be passing this response, creating a response string, that is response message as string, and then getting the response. So we will be extracting from our response by calling simply getJSON array. Inside this method we will be specifying it as choices, and from this we will be calling our getJSON object. Along with that, here we will be adding the error listener firstly. So we will be calling firstly response dot error listener to check the error. Inside this we will be displaying a toast message as failed to get response, toast dot lenshot dot show. Now inside this method, on the response method, we will be creating a variable as a response message to get the response as string, then calling response.getJSON array. Inside this, specifying the key for the array as choices getJSON object, specifying it as 0, then get string. Inside this, specifying the string which we have to get as a text. After that, we will be simply adding this to our message list dot add in the form of message RV model. Inside this, we will be specifying our response message, and in this case the message is being sent by the bot, so we will be specifying the sender type as bot, and after that we will be notifying our adapter to notify the data set that the data has been changed. After that, adding the error listener, we are adding another method which is used to add the headers. So inside this we will be calling simply creating a map to add the headers and name it as a params, creating a mutable map. Inside this, specifying key and value pair in the form of string equal to hash map. After that, we will be adding the params to it. Inside the params, we will be firstly specify the content type as application JSON. So we will be copying the content type and adding it here, and similarly copying the application.json and adding that here. After adding this, we are adding one more param, that is our authorization. So copying authorization and adding it here. Then our API key, here we have to add our API key. Firstly we have to add our bearer, and then here we have to add our API key. I will be simply putting as add your API key. Make sure to add your API key here. I will be adding it as lastly. After adding this parameters, we have to simply call return params to return our params. After that, we have to make this post request. So for that, we will be simply calling post request.set retry policy. So we will be also setting it the retry policy if the API call fails. Inside this, we will be specifying it as an object and retry policy. Inside this retry policy, we have to import this. We will be specifying the get current timeout and specifying the current timeout as 50,000 milliseconds. Then we will be calling get current retry timeout. Here also we will be specifying it as same. Then we will be calling retry method. Inside this retry method, we will be not returning anything. And lastly, we will be adding this request to our queue by calling simply queue dot add. Inside this we will be specifying the post request to make our request. Now after adding this request to our queue, we have to navigate to our manifest file to add the permissions. Here we will be adding the permissions as internet permissions, then access network state permission. After that I have to add the API key inside our main activity. Here I have copied it and simply adding it here. Now we have also added the permissions, internet permission. After that we have to simply run our application to see the output of our application. So we have to simply click on this green icon to run our application. It will take some time to load our application. If you are getting this error, make sure to change the compile SDK to 33 and target SDK to 33, sync your project and run it once again. Our app has been built. We can take a look at the output of our application. So inside this, we can get to see our app has been built, that is ChatGPT application. Here we will be typing our query. Tell me about Android development and sending this message. It will take some time to give us a response. And here we can get to see it provides the information about Android development. Similarly, we will be asking it about Java programming language. Here it has provided the information of Java programming language. So in this way we have built our simple ChatGPT-like application using Kotlin as a programming language. Thanks for watching this video. If you are having any doubts, feel free to ask them in the comment section.